Yeah, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Daily Grindcast. We have a special guest this time. We have Jesse from Rosarito. He's currently living in Ontario, California. He does baseball coaching, and we're just looking forward to hear his story. He was telling me he has a couple professionals in his family. So, welcome, Jesse. Thank you for driving down here, and looking forward to conversate with you, brother.
It's nice to meet you guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. So I always like to start off with just like a simple, get to know you, and whatever that may be, is if you want to talk about something like how you grew up, how you came to the U.S., where you were born, all of that stuff. You can talk about whatever you want. But yeah, just start from the beginning and go from there. And then if we stop you any time for questions and stuff like that, we'll just interrupt you. So go ahead and start. Man.
Yeah, originally I'm from Whittier, California, de chiquito. My parents took me back to Mexico, donde me crié en Rosarito, Mexico, en la mina abandonada. It's been a journey, man. I came back to the States when I was 11, gonna be 12 years old. I played baseball my entire life. My grandfather, he played professional baseball, and my dad was a prospect for the Dodgers. So I come from a long line of baseball, stars or whatever. So baseball's been my life since the day I could walk, since the day I could remember. It's just what I've dedicated my life to. I love it with a passion, and was the first in my family to play college baseball, and any of my family to play college baseball sports. I got the chance to play D2 baseball, and I got the chance to get committed to a D1 school in the West Coast Conference. And then from there, recently just stopped playing at NAIA, and it's been a journey, man. Now I'm doing coaching, and there's nothing else that I love more to do than coach.
You say your grandfather was a professional for what team was he?
He was a professional for the Houston Astros.
Houston Astros. Okay.
Nice. And then I assume that's where your name comes. If your dad was for the Dodgers or prospect for the Dodgers, that's where you get Jesse the Jet Rodriguez from the Sandline, right?
Yeah, so so my dad actually came up with that name too. So I remember when I was a kid, and it was when I actually just first came to the States too. I was playing in a little league in Southridge, California, and I stole home. And so I remember a mom at the end of the game said, "Hey, you know who you look like?" And my dad was like, "Who does he look like?" He's like, "He looks like the kid from the Sandlot movie, the kid Benny."
Yeah.
And so that's when my dad was like, "Hey, Jesse the Jet Rodriguez, like that's a good name for you." So that's kind of how it stuck.
That's dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Did you watch the original Sandlot growing up, or did you watch the second version of the Sandlot?
Oh no, dude, I watched all of them, but definitely the best one is the first one,
Yeah.
100%.
You said you went to Mexico, then you came back when you were 11. How was that shift? I mean, Rosarito is like 2-3 hours away from here, so it's not that bad. But still, like if you're living out there, and then you come over here, it's like the cultural shift. It's a little different. How did that affect you, or did it affect you at all, or how was it? Tell us a little bit.
Honestly, when I did come back, I will say we do speak English a little more consistently. Well, that's just we're so close to the border, and there's a lot of tourists that go over there, and so English, I wouldn't say was a big problem, but it was more just feeling like almost like an outsider almost. Like even though I'm from the States, you almost feel like, nobody, everybody I don't want to say make weird faces, but when kids hear oh, you're from Mexico, what are you doing here? It's this and that's I almost feel like you're a little bit disconnected from here. So I did feel a little bit of disconnect when I first came here. I think I felt a little more of I don't know really where I belong. It was in high school. So I didn't really have any friends in high school. I didn't play high school baseball at all either. So not playing high school baseball and not really, having a good amount of friends there, it honestly was a little tough, because all I did really was just dedicate my life to baseball. So I think there was a bit of a disconnect, and I don't know, it felt like I didn't really have a place to fit into when I came back.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. That's I'm also from Mexico, and I came here when I was 8. So I feel that disconnection as well. So I was good at soccer. That made me friends because everyone wanted to be on my team. So I feel you on that one, brother.
Were you playing baseball by any chance in Rosarito? Were you able to play?
Yeah. So in high school, I would go back and forth a lot, to go play on the weekends and all that stuff.
Okay.
Donde me creí, so right there it's called La Mina Abandonada. Right, down the road, there's hay un campo in the baseball field owned by the San Diego Padres. So we have a minor, a little little kid field, but we didn't have a bigger field for the teens and all that stuff. So I'd always be there playing there. So I mean, it was always just fun just to go back and just play there and have fun there.
There was a league that you were in over there, or was it just for fun playing?
Los dos.
Oh, okay.
So digo que the one on the weekends, it would only be like 1 or 2 games, and I would just go really just to visit my grandparents. But you know, it would be like, okay, you're gonna go just play a game and have fun. The majority of the time though was to just go like get over there, work, and all that good stuff.
When you say like you had to go back and forth and you weren't able to play baseball here, because I was in sports too, but I was taken directly out of sports.
Yeah.
And so it shifted me to a point where I was just like, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And so I didn't know anything to do except for hang out with my sister. And hanging out with my sister and hanging out with older crowds kind of puts you in a weird position because no one wants you there, one. And number two, you're just doing things that you probably shouldn't be doing. So like I didn't know what to do with my time. So that's how I did it. My question is, besides going to playing baseball back in Rosarito and like on weekends and stuff like that, when you were here in high school, what did you do to fill that time that you had?
Honestamente, that's kind of where I was introduced into the gym. So working out is a big part of sports, and especially in baseball too. And I think a lot of parents, a lot of coaches undermine that side of it. So a lot of my time was in the gym. Was I working out correctly at the time? No, because I didn't really have anybody there to guide me or to really tell me what it is I was supposed to be doing from like an athletic standpoint. But a lot of my time was just like in the gym, eating right, hanging out with like my family members, and just that's about it though. I really live like more so like I never really went out and like to parties. I never really went out and did stuff like that just because, like I said, I had one goal in mind, and my parents were really strict on me too, so never got to go.
That helps.
Yeah.
I mean, that leads me into my like either the question or just a comment is like your parents, your family was very family oriented and like made sure that you guys were like in line and like always had goals and stuff like that. So that's really beautiful that you actually had that, because a lot of us growing up don't have either two parents or one parent, and one is always working, so you feel like a disconnect from that, and you feel like either you're running the streets doing like some random shit you're not supposed to be doing, getting in trouble, or you're just at home. So I'm glad you had that, because a lot of us and the younger youth that are going to watch this is going to see like, oh, damn, like maybe I shouldn't be in high school trying to go out to parties all the time. Maybe I should have like a goal or something. So
100%,
thank you for sharing that, man.
Of course.
That's crazy, dude, because I mean, I was in the same boat as Skylar. Same. I had a goal in high school, but again, my parents were always working, my parents are separated. So either I will listen to one or the other, depending which one will be nicer to me, and yeah, same thing, I never really focus, and having parents like that, like you said, it's nice, bro, because now because of how they were, like maybe back in the days we were all like, we're young and we think what they're telling us are dumb, or like, oh, they don't get it, they're never gonna stand us. But now looking back, I'm sure you're thankful for that,
Yeah, I honestly am. I mean, I think my parents being so hard on me was a blessing in disguise, just because I have a couple family members, a couple cousins who have gone down the wrong path or haven't done things like I think how they could have done things. So I am really blessed to say that my parents, because they were so strict on me, because they didn't let me go out and do things I shouldn't have been doing, it really made me into the man that I am today. I know I'm not perfect, but I try my best to be responsible. I try my absolute best to be a good role model, especially to the kids that I train. A good role model to the parents, so they can see that there's someone there that actually is trying to be a good influence on their kids and trying to guide them in the right direction.
Speaking more a little bit, like when you weren't practicing, like when you went through that period, what was like one of that did you go through any low periods where you just like maybe you wanted to give up on baseball when you weren't practicing, when you only were sitting in the gym, you couldn't play for high school, like all that stuff? What was like, is there like a low point or a point that you wanted to like give up?
Honestly, I think every baseball player goes through that. I think that is just the truth of that every athlete goes through that, because there's always when people say like, oh, you should never doubt yourself as an athlete. It's hard, man, because you're faced with adversity every single day. So my big thing, because I wasn't playing, and I will say this. So my father, he was in my life, and like when I was in high school, but he wasn't in my life because he had to go to work every single day. My dad at the time too, he was a truck driver and he wanted to go back to school so he can do be an air technician. So he didn't have time to go out there and, and play baseball with me. So it was a tough time. And so I would be every single day after school. So it's kind of like a funny story to say this, but so at the time, my parents, we couldn't afford like quote unquote, like actual baseball gear. So like, I'm sure you guys know what a baseball tee is.
Yeah.
So like I didn't have that. So what I would do, I would go on the side of the roads. I would steal traffic cones, and I would put it like I would put the baseball on top of the cone. That's how I would hit off the tee.
But it works. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
Rubber's rubber, dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I think just finding ways like that to not give up is something that pushed me. But did it suck? Being there by yourself like every day. Like, yeah. But at some point in time, every athlete has to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I truly believe, athletes are either going to like say, okay, I can keep going and have the will to keep going, or just say, man, I don't want to do this anymore. So it was tough, and I did go through all those times, but I'm happy I didn't stop.
Yeah. Well, as a kid too, like we're not fully developed, and we don't have that bigger grand picture in our head sometimes, right? If no one's telling us, how are we supposed to know like this is just like happening right now? It doesn't mean like it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Me growing up, me being in high school or me even middle school, my intention span and my thought process was what's going to happen within this month, what's happening this week.
Yeah.
It never went past that. Like I was always like very present, and not in a good way. It was just like I couldn't see past that. If I had a goal in mind, or if if I was put back on the right path and someone helped me find a goal, maybe it would have been better. I would have probably ended up a lot better, but it was one of the things we lacked, and a lot of us lack, unfortunately, like growing up, is like when we don't have someone telling us, we're just gonna take the wrong path for the most part.
Yeah. So that's like also one of the reasons why I love coaching so much, is because I think since I didn't have a coach, I love being the coach that I wanted to my kids. Yeah. So like because I go so deep into detail, like in all the training lessons that I do, like I want to make sure they understand everything about themselves, about their swings, how everything works out, even like on defense. So my big thing is I don't want them to feel like I don't even know what I'm doing, or I feel like I'm alone. I don't want them to ever feel that. I want them to know, hey, I have my parents who support me, and I have Coach Jesse here ready to go if I ever need him, if I ever need something. So that's kind of like why I love coaching, is because I'm the coach that I never had for them. And I know that they're going to succeed because I coach them so much.
Did your grandpa or whoever was your dad, you said it was your dad, right? Your grandpa or your dad, were they ever there for you, or like give you some tips or like some advice or something? Or because I mean, you would assume, right? They were professionals, and you're following their footsteps, so therefore, you need some type of guidance. But
honestly, they tried, but the problem is that not everybody's there to coach. Not everybody's a good coach. So like my father, for example, right? I think my father was the most athletically gifted person like I've ever seen. Only reason saying that is because he has proof like on VHS tapes, because that's where they would record like the prospect videos back then. He has him hitting home runs. He has him like diving and making plays like in the infield. And the way how he moved, like I see it and I'm just like, there's no way like he did that. Like, how do you do that? He's terrible at explaining things. He can't do it. So that's why like a lot of the things that he told me, it wasn't good. Well, I'm not saying it wasn't good. It wasn't good advice. Like I know he tried, but it wouldn't line up with what it is, I wanted to learn how to do.
That's right.
So they tried, but the game of baseball is just changing so much. So like a lot of the things that they were taught or things that they knew how to do, it wasn't correlating with what it is I had to do. So yeah.
Well, besides that point, I mean, I can speak firsthand that I would probably never be a good coach. I know this because I was pretty good at sports at anything I've ever done, but I can never show people how to do it. I'm just like, you just do it. And that's fucking like it. And I just like, I would try to help, and they're just like, you're not making any sense. And then I would show them, I'm like, can't you just do that?
Exactly.
Like mimic that? And they're like, no, dude.
Watch what I'm doing. That's what I do too. Watch what I'm doing. Like
just look. And so like I had that, and that's when I, as I got older, I realized that I was like, maybe I'll never be a good coach because I'm just, not that person. So some people are gifted with being a talented coach. Like if you think about all the greats that could become coaches after, there's not that many. How many people fell? Like I don't know in basketball, I can't name all of them, but I know that maybe was Kobe a coach somewhat? Was I forgot, was it Magic Johnson, great athletic player, right? He coached for 8 months before he quit in the Lakers. So like some people that are just so talented just can't coach as well. And I feel like maybe there's a disconnect there, or we just don't understand the game on a bigger level than that. So
because I will say, I think one of the things that helps me for sure be a better coach is because I'm so self-taught. So like because I'm so self-taught, I know what works and what doesn't work. True. Because I've done literally everything. YouTube was my biggest coach, like honestly, when I was growing up. So
I have a degree on YouTube University. So
when you mentioned stuff like, oh, I learned everything on YouTube, or like my parents back in the day had VHS tapes and stuff like that. Like, so we grew up in that realm. So we didn't have YouTube. Like for the most part, like technology didn't come into play until like way after. So imagine kids trying to learn what you learned without the YouTube and like without anything. Back then, they just had to pick up a bat or a stick and just hit shit. And like honestly, out, right? Like,
so I mean, like I'm telling you, so that's why I think like, but I think I can excel like as a coach just because I'm so self-taught.
Yeah.
And because like I know what little things tick, what little things don't. I can see the little details and how a kid moves, how they don't move, how they should or shouldn't move. I think that's what kind of makes me into that better coaching realm. So yeah.
Nice.
Tell us more about your coaching now. I know you just started RBA, like that's your business. What does RBA stand for? And tell us a little background of that.
Yeah, so my coaching journey started during the COVID pandemic. So I guess that's kind of how my college baseball journey started too. So at the time when it was a little bit like before everything kind of shut down, I was playing in the men's Sunday league off of Rosemead. And those guys I love those guys because those guys like brought me into the team and they're awesome. So big shout out to them. I remember I was doing really good and I was putting up like video game stats. Like I was hitting like 800. I don't even know how many homers or doubles and RBIs. And I remember it was one game and I just hit a triple. And one of the old men, like one of the old coaches on the other team, and he told me, he's like, mijo, pues sí puedes jugar, mijo. He's like, ¿dónde eres? He's like, ¿quién eres? This and that. I told him, who I was and, where I'm from, all that stuff. And he's like, how come you didn't go play college baseball? I was like, well, I don't know how. So that's another problem too, is that like, because I didn't have a coach or someone that would guide me, I didn't know anything about the recruiting process for college. I was always just told, like, if you're good enough, they're going to show up to you.
Correct.
But I mean, like,
correct.
No, yeah, that's what I thought too, bro.
So like,
I feel you on that.
So I mean, like, I was just like, okay, maybe I'm just not good enough then.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, like, you should just go try. So I remember, like, I kind of slept on it. I was like, what if I kind of do want to play college baseball? So I remember one of my good friends who I've been friends with in high school, his little brothers at the time were playing with this team, with this academy team that the coach, basically, it's an academy team where he helps the high school guys go and play at a university, or the JUCO guys go play at a university.
Oh, okay.
So I hit him up and I went to the practice, and that's when COVID started happening. So all the fields are getting shut down, all that stuff. So I actually went to go meet him, and I kind of talked to him a little bit. I told him, my whole story and all that stuff. He's like, so you never played college baseball? No. Did you ever play high school baseball? No. And he's like, so what makes you think you can play college baseball? And I was like, I'm gonna get after it every single day. He's like, okay. He's like, well, I'll give you my number, and I'll give you a call. We'll see what we can do, so I can have like a little like training day with you. I was like, cool. And so I would text him, no me contestaba. I text him, nunca me contestaba. And I remember, like, out of the blue, on like a random day, like on a Tuesday, like in the summer, I get a text like at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it says, hey, Jesse, this is Chris. We're moving over to this field. Practice starts at 8 a.m., right? And I remember, like, when I woke up to it, I was like, what, dude, it's in Riverside. And so at the time I was living in Fontana, it was like 30 minutes away. And I was like, I got to go, right? I was like, do I wear pants? And he was like, yeah, just wear pants. So I go over there, I rush to that field. And I remember I get there, and he tells me, he's like, what are you doing here? Like, you just texted me. What do you mean? Y me dice, he's like, no, I didn't. I was like, yeah, look. I showed him the text message. He's like, oh, okay. And I remember, like, I was just standing there waiting, and he goes to a parent, and a parent asks him, hey, who's that kid? And he's like, oh, like, his name's Jesse. He's like, I meant to text a parent named Jesse. And I actually texted him.
Fuck.
Yeah, so ni modo, like, he had me there, and that whole day, I just coached there. I helped him coach out, and he's like, I don't want, I know you're here. I don't want to waste your time. Like, let me just see what you got. We were hitting, and we fielded all that stuff, and he's like, okay. He's like, you're not bad. He's like, would you want to stay in state, or would you want to go out of state? I was like, honestly, I don't care. Just send me anywhere. I was like, you can send me to North Dakota for all I care. Like, I don't know. Yeah. He's like, okay. He's like, well, let's see what we can do. And at that time, he kind of was telling me, like, the prices and how much it is to play for his program. No había chamba because everything just shut down. So I was like, well, I can't afford it. So, so I told him, I was like, you know what? And like, do you need an extra coach? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't have any coaches. I was like, I'll cut you a deal. I told him, I'm more than happy to help you coach if you let me play for free. He's like, all right. So that's kind of how like the whole coaching journey started. So I started off with him, coaching the younger kids and all that stuff. And it was fun, man. I remember that summer like if it was yesterday. And that same summer I committed to go play at my school in Boston, and it was fun. But I think that's how the whole coaching journey started, because the kids loved me. It was fun. The parents were awesome too. And that's just where it started. So RBA was born that day. And then like the actual title of the name, my dad actually came up with the name. And it was when, I think it was right when I was about to graduate from that school in Boston. And I told him, I was like, I want to go back and I want to coach kids, I like it. And he's like, well, you need a name for your thing. And I was like, well, what should I call it? He's like, Like, I got you. He's like, I think like he didn't talk to me about it for like a month. He comes back. He's like, I got you something. I'm like, what? So I guess my dad has a friend who makes business cards, right? He's like, I got you this. So on the business cards, these are RBA Baseball, Rodriguez Baseball Academy. It has my TikTok on the back, and it says like helping your athlete get to the next level. And it has like my number and all that stuff. So my dad's kind of the one who shot me that, and that's how the business started.
I find it very interesting because you would think, right? Like if you were my friend and I knew the history of your parents, your dad, or again, going back to the professionals, I would be like, this guy has it set, you know? Yeah. This guy for
From
sure.
the outside perspective,
yeah.
Right?
This guy for sure, he's probably gonna, he has the plugs and everything, because that's what we see, right? Like whoever, that's what we think, somebody who already made it, right?
Yeah.
But this tells that not everyone does, just because your cousin, your grandpa, your dad has something for them, doesn't mean it's gonna pass on to the next generation. Yeah. As you guys saw, Jesse was willing to work for free coaching to get some time in the team, right?
Yeah.
So just because you kind of know someone, don't kind of wait for them to kind of hand you something, regardless of what it is. Just get your ass up and work on it, because you never know. Like in this case, right? Like Jesse had to find his way into whatever his passion or into his coaching or his career.
I mean, there's small miracles that happen and we don't see them until it's all past. Yeah. And him texting the wrong Jesse was one of those miracles that you just like in that moment, you probably were just like, oh fuck, like he's gonna send me home now. Like he's texted the wrong person. Like this is not, and maybe you're going through a billion thoughts. Yeah. Excuse me. There's a million of those things that happen throughout our lives. There's small miracles throughout the day that we just don't see until we start connecting dots and making it come full circle. So to me, that seems like a miracle. Yeah. Because you were just sitting there, you're like, damn, like I'm not gonna be. If he would have never texted the wrong person, you would have been in the next spot. Yeah. You would have helped figure out your coaching. So that's how life has a plan for everyone.
Yeah, pretty 100%. Much. So yes, I mean, I'm telling you. So that's why I think. Like, it's funny when I tell that story to people, because even like, so I played for that coach recently, right? And that's how I ended like my college baseball's like career, I guess. I would tell my teammates that story, and they'd be like, dude, what? Like, there's no way that happened. I'm like, yeah, go ask him. Like, all that stuff is 110% true. All that stuff happened. And he laughs about it now. He's like, I did text the wrong Jesse. Like, I didn't mean to text him, So a lot of that stuff is it is funny timing. I think that story is funny now that I tell it, but I mean, everything does happen for a reason. Yeah. I strongly believe that it does.
I mean, how can you not, when something like that happens and it lands on your lap, you're just like, I'm Jesse. Yes, I am.
Like, you have your text here. Like, read this.
I know that you mentioned that, so you went to college. What college did you go to play baseball?
So I went to a school called Dean College in Boston, Massachusetts. Honestly, like, I think... Man, it was cold. Like, that's the best I can remember is just freezing cold. Like,
nothing cold like the East Coast, bro.
Like, I don't know how the Boston Red Sox, how any East Coast team can physically play there. Like, I think it's literally insane. Like, playing in 20 degrees, it's like, I don't know how people do it.
And they're like so natural in it.
I know, that's what I don't get.
Like they blow on their hand. Like, that's good for like 5 minutes.
That's it. Dude, I lost my... Yeah, that's all I needed.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember when I made that whole jump, like, when I first got to the airport, I remember when I first got to the airport and I landed, one of my teammates came pick me up. It was like, I think like 15 degrees. I was like, all right, I want to see what 15 degrees feels like, because I've never felt 15 degrees. I go outside, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this isn't too bad. And I kid you not, like, I was like, I had a hoodie and a coat on, or like my jacket on. I took off the jacket, and I por momentum, like, I kind of done the hoodie, and in an instant, like, freezing. Like, it's just so cold over there. Like, I don't know how people play, but I think over there too, like, I just didn't like playing over there. Like, I just didn't. Like, I'm blessed for like the fact that I went over there and I actually had an opportunity to play college baseball, because it opened other doors. But I mean, just like the all around the program, the coaching staff, like, it just wasn't the greatest, and a lot, not just me, but a lot of my other teammates, like, a lot of us suffered because of it. And I remember my senior year, like, I made it like a vow to myself. I was like, I was like, I got to go play somewhere better. So I remember at the end of my junior year, going into the summer, the coach tells me, and he says, you're going to be our guy next year. You're going to be starting, da-da-da-da-da. That summer, I worked my butt off, and I came back to California. I played for the East LA Dodgers, and they're a really good scout team. So that was a good experience too. Going back into the fall, I did really, really well. And that's when I started reaching out to a bunch of D1s. And that's kind of where like everything started kicking off like at a higher level of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of good schools reached out, and I ended up committing that winter to University of San Francisco. Went into the spring. I did okay, but some unfortunate circumstances happened with the coaches at San Fran. And the new coaches came in. So the academic and baseball scholarship that I had just got cut to down. Like,
so you had to finish up in Boston anyway.
I had to finish in Boston either way. Whether I liked it or not, I had to finish there.
I mean,
But when I got the call from the athletic director of what happened and all that stuff with the coaches in San Fran, because I was ready to go, I was like, all right, what team am I going to play for this summer? Like, I just got to get a word in, you know, they tell me what to do, et cetera, I'll go. I found out what happened, and new coaches came in. They said, well, man, we want to bring in our guys, and we can't, you know, give you that much money. I'm sorry.
Dang.
So that summer, I was actually in Texas. I played summer ball and I worked my butt off. I did really good. But I mean, the problem with like going, if you want to go to a D1 school, those rosters fill up, or they look for guys since like the winter. So for you to get in into like right before school starts, like something has to happen to someone where like they get Tommy John, or they do this, or something happens, or they go somewhere else, they move, et cetera, et cetera. So I just couldn't get on a roster. And I actually became a teacher.
What? So you decided to become a teacher at that point.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. So, and part of these, like your journeys when you're going to, and you're training, you know, San Francisco and Texas and all that, who's helping you line these things up? Is like your coaches, the staff, like who helps you like get into these certain programs so that people like that are trying to get into these programs, how do they go about that? Like who helps you?
So honestly, nobody. So I'm saying it's tough because like I've learned the hard way where like the only way I truly believe, because a school isn't like, let's say if you're playing for a school, right? Your head coach isn't gonna say, all right, yeah, you can just leave, you know?
Well, I know they're not going to.
But like, if you really do want to get like looked at other schools, right? You have to reach out to them on your own. But you have to be in the transfer portal. You got to be in all that stuff in order for you to reach out to those schools. Okay. But that's your responsibility. There's like websites where you can like do it where like they can help you out, et cetera, but you got to pay like, I don't know how much. It's easier just to honestly email them like down the line. So just go every single school down the line. That's what I did. Just
email them and to see who responds. And multiple responses, right? It's not just one. If they don't respond in a week, send a follow-up and stuff like that, right?
So like, but mind you, like out of all the schools, man, I can't even count how many schools like I emailed. There was just so many. And I think only like 8 replied back or 7.
I mean, that's better than 0 responses, right?
Yeah, but like if you think about it, that's how hard it is. Though. Like it's not easy. Like especially like if you're not like a big name player or whatever it is, like you're just like a small guy or whatever.
And you have no one else vouching for you, right?
Exactly.
You have no one else, you know.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So like, and I remember like and then once they get like they are interested, they call your coach, say, okay, you know, we want him in the transfer, we want him to come over here for next season. You know, once he's done, et cetera, with your program, or whatever. He has to give the okay and say, all right, yeah, he can go. Because there's some instances where like, let's just say like if a kid's like at a 4-year university, right? And he's at his sophomore year. There's coaches who are going to be like, oh, no, I don't want you to go, so you're not going to go. Or I'm not going to sign off on the paperwork, so you can't go.
Yeah.
Like there's coaches like that. It's
kind of like they have like somewhat control of your life and you're just like, fuck. And it's a bad situation if you don't know that you're in that situation until that it's already your coach, right? So it's not like you can get out unless you transfer that the following year or whatever. So, I mean, that honestly, that struggle in itself, it just seems like a headache for like a lot of kids that are trying to make it. 100%. And especially if coaches or teams or whatever don't want to see you succeed, or they want you to succeed, but only with them. Yeah. You know, and unfortunately, that's like life. Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't want to see each other, like people win, unless you're winning and they're benefiting from it.
100%. You know? So then once I got done there, I became a teacher. So I was a Spanish teacher at Rockwall Heath High School in Texas. That's the best year I've ever had in my entire life. Like people, like I know people think like, oh, teaching like sucks, like teaching is hard, like. I think it's just a new generation of kids that make it hard. Yeah. But I think if you understand what to do and you understand those kids, you know how to work with those kids, it's the best time of your life. Like to this day, I kid you not. So a lot of my kids, like once I left, a lot of them just found me on social media. A lot of them just like follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, and following my journey ever since. I'll get like little spam saying, you got this, Mr. Rodriguez. Like, you got this, keep going. That's like, nice. So just stuff like that. And then that spring, you know, I had a hard conversation with like my department heads and my boss, and like, are you gonna come back or no? Because like over there, they're only 1-year contracts that they offer you. And I kind of told him like about baseball, and I think you should go do it. you're young, take advantage of the opportunity and go. So that's when I had two options. I had a D2, and man, I forget the name of that D2. But and then the school at La Sierra University. This is the head coach that got me to go over to that school in Boston. So I was like, I know you personally, so like I think it'd be a good fit. So when school ended at the high school, that June, I flew out to California. I had to play summer ball here. I did really well. And then the fall started, and that fall was a grind. Like my body's never hurt more than it has ever hurt. And so it was pretty intense. There were some events that happened right now in December, and I couldn't afford it. So I asked for help. I didn't get that help. And, I had to stop playing. So that's kind of why, I'm coaching right now, and I love what I do though, and I take pride in it. So yeah.
Do you have, you have social medias and stuff like that. Did you, we don't really think of this all at the time, but did you try to start like, as weird as it sounds, like GoFundMe to help you get to like where you need to go? Did you feel like too much pride for that? Or, because I know like asking for help is one of the hardest things for men, and be going outside of our family and asking like, hey, can you help my cause? I want to go here. Like sometimes when people hear each other's stories, they're more than willing to help you get there. Versus if they're just like, you're just out on the side, like, asking for money kind of thing. So maybe I don't know if you have, but if you like, maybe if you try doing that, maybe there's a lot of people that would be willing to help, man. Like,
I just think like it's very hard for me to do that just because of the way how I was raised. Like I'm telling you, like my father's very, very old school. So it was like a lot of the men in my life too. So a lot of them like, no, you got to get it done on your own. Don't ask for help and go figure it out on your own. Obviously, like my dad, like now he's like, hey, if you ever need anything, just give me a call. He's like, but do your best to figure it out first. It's very hard for me to say like, I need help. Like that's why I like asking for help. Like I try my best. I actually do everything on my own. Like just because of how I was raised and all that stuff.
No, I asked that question only because I'm the same way. I have a lot of pride in myself, and sometimes it screws me over, but sometimes I have to do everything myself. I'm very independent, and that's because I was raised that way. I was raised, figure out yourself, and you'll get there by yourself, kind of thing. Not to mention that there is certain instances that there is help given. But to go out of our way and like, ask for like, dollars, cash, I don't think I could ever do it. No. But I'm always like curious to see like, if that's a possibility, because, sometimes our pride gets in the way, and, and there should be no shame in it. If we're going to get somewhere, and you're going to need help in some way or form or another, there's going to be help needed. 100%. But, to each our own. I don't want to bash anyone that's watching this that's going to say like fucking like, I'll go out there to sell chocolates, because, the sad thing is sometimes I see those kids, and it makes me feel so bad. And I really engage with them when you walk out of the store and like, hey, I'm trying to sell these, can you buy one? I'm like, and I always ask, what is it for? Because I won't give money just because, because sometimes I feel, and again, it's just me. I grew up poor, so don't say it's because I'm white, guys, all right? But it's because, they're selling candies, or they're selling that for their family. And then it's like, I can't really do that. I'm just like, where's your parents? Like, why aren't they slinging this fucking chocolate for you, kind of thing? I don't like that. So I always ask, but with the kids that come back and they're just like, oh, it's for football practice. Oh, it's for this. And then I'm just like, hell yeah, here you go. I don't get the chocolate. I just put the cash in their pocket and let them do what they want with it. But that's why I feel like people can connect once they know a little bit about you. And you won't find that out by just judging someone by their appearance.
And that's where I think like the coaching thing comes in. So como sea que like la chamba, right? So I think that's how parents support me, or how people support me. So by me helping your kid, and since I love to work, you help me at the same time too. So that's why that's why like, I feel like that stuff helps out a lot too. When like parents say, hey, I want you to train my kid, that feels like the responsibility. Okay, I'm going to give you my hard-earned money, and I want you to help my kid be better, please. So that's why I feel like that's where like that help comes in a lot, is through coaching too.
I'm really interested on the coaching side. What is it that, how does your program work? How many kids do you have? Is it like by season, by months? Just can you give me a little more details on that, bro?
Yeah. So I mean, the way how I do it, so I allow parents to choose. We can either do hitting or we can do defense. I'm very like, when it comes to it, very into detail. So I can't do hitting and defense in one day, or like in the span of like an hour and a half or whatever it is. just because it's too much detail. And since I like to make sure like the kid understands every single thing that they're doing, I don't want them to be like, okay, 30 minutes of hitting and then 30 minutes of defense. It has to be one or the other.
Right.
So with that being said, a lot of my stuff, so like right now I have about 12 to 15 kids, and it's like just growing and growing and growing and growing. So hopefully one day I can open up my own facility and we can have all that stuff. But the way how it works, so like let's if we do a hitting session, right? First things first, always stretch out. I need the kids to be loose. I don't want a kid pulling anything while they're swinging. I don't want a kid to be tight. One of the biggest things in baseball people forget, it's not bad to have that strength, that brute strength and that muscle, but you have to be loose. Baseball is a game where you got to go 0 to 100 like in the span of a blink of an eye. You can't, you know, there's no like building up to it. It's either you got to be ready or you're not ready. So we warm up, we get ready. We do a lot of like little mechanical drills. So I think the reason why parents like me so much is because the things that I teach them are things that some high school kids still don't know. So like the things that I teach my kids, I didn't know until I was like 17 or 18 years old how to do it properly. Like simple things like the importance of like turning behind the baseball, things of like letting the barrel get deep, like behind the zone, staying on a path straight through the zone, like all that stuff. I do all that stuff mechanically with them because I want them to feel all that, and the body needs to get used to feeling those movements so they can do it without thinking. Because baseball is such a game where once you get older, it's going to get faster. You don't have that time to think. So you have to learn how to just go. When you do the repetition so much, it just becomes muscle memory and your body can just react. So that's why like you'll see players like in the MLB, like, oh, what do you think about in the box? They'll be like, nothing. That's why like the more you do it, the more you focus on those things, the more better you're going to be. And like the more fluid you're going to be, you're not going to have to worry about, oh, I'm doing this and that in the game. And also too, like when the kids have a game, I always tell the parents to record your kids at bat so I can see it and I can see what they're doing in the game. Like every Saturday or Sunday, I get shot like 8 or 10 text messages. Here's a swing, here's a swing, here's a swing. This is what they're doing. I give them the instant feedback right then and then and tell them, hey, time to do this, time to do this, time to do this. They make adjustments and then they could succeed, you know? So that's just kind of how I operate. On the defensive side, if I do a defense day, a lot of it we stretch out too, but we do a lot of feet work stuff. So like depending where they play, like my thing is I play the infield, right? So I play third, short, and second. My big thing is feet work. If you don't have good feet, you're not going to be a good infielder. So a lot of the stuff that we do is moving with like a band, like on our legs. We have to move fast. We have to move like angle wise, and we have to move linear as fast as we can. We're also having coordination and not getting out of control, obviously. From that, we just go like a bunch of reps. We go one-handed drills. We go front, forehand, backhand. We'll do a lot of just funneling. We'll do a lot of moving around, a lot of rounding the baseball, a lot of creating a good path, good throws, a lot of ground ball reps, and then a lot of double play reps. So usually like we're looking, kids will normally hit probably say around like 250, 300 baseballs with me. On the ground ball days, I'll probably field maybe like around like 150 to 200 to 250 ground balls with me on that hour. So it's a lot of moving around. And But I mean, the one big thing I do tell them is they can't hesitate. They have to learn how to just go. And it's a hard thing to do, obviously, you know, because like you tell someone, hey, just go, do it. Like, trust yourself. like, what? Like, how do I do that? You have to learn how to just move. Like, and it's like I said, it's not an easy topic to do. The more you get comfortable with just doing the action, not being afraid that you're going to mess up, the better you're going to be in the game. So that's how like I kind of run my coaching, and that's kind of like what I focus on a lot of.
You're going in the right path because the person that we saw, he has a facility and stuff, and he's been doing that for years. And you repeat it like word by word almost.
It almost felt like that, right?
Yeah, so I was like, dude, and you know, and he's been at it for years, dude, and obviously you're young, dude. You're younger than us, so just keep doing what you're doing, dude. And you know, like props to that, dude, because that's insane, dude.
The trainer was more like football and soccer, I believe. But he had like a bunch of like all-star players people that play in the big leagues. So he's been doing it for a while. Like it's his passion too. So it's so funny that you're passionate. We get someone on today that also does coaching, and that's like more of your passion. Are you still looking and trying to figure out how to play baseball versus just coaching? Like, what is your goal? Like, is your goal to play, or is it? I mean, you can always do both, but there's always like your inner being. What does it physically want? You want to play at the big level, right?
I think now I'm kind of moving past it. And again, it sucks to say that just because I dedicated my life to it. But the game of baseball isn't getting any, like, you know, it's getting younger. Like, you're seeing kids out of high school, you know, at the age of 18 getting into the pros. Like it's more common now than it was back then.
Like,
like
just
back
like soccer,
then,
dude.
yeah, so like back then, you would see guys out of college, going into like to the minors, into the pros. Like the average age, I think it was like maybe like 27, 28 around there. Now the average age is getting to like 21, 22, like around that area.
Yeah. They didn't pass the same rule as the NBA where you can't just pull kids right out of high school. I think I believe the NBA can't pull you right out of high school anymore. You have to like go to college and stuff like that now.
No, you can go. They can sign you right out of high school and you can go straight into the minor leagues.
Oh, in the minor leagues, but you can't go into the major.
Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah, that's what I was. See, like I think there's still like some, like I know you can do minor, but you're not getting paid that much and stuff. You still got to do like your schooling and stuff. They won't put you straight into the majors because like your expectancy to finish is going to be like you have 5 years because it's going to be so hard on you.
Yeah, because the fastest guy that I've seen right now like move through the minor leagues like as quickly as he is that kid Jackson Holiday. He got picked first round with the Orioles, and like I think at the beginning of the year he started at single A. I think it might have been single A, and he finished at triple A. Like in the span of like a year, he moved that fast.
Dang.
And like guys usually take like 1 year or 2 years at
or
one
longer.
level.
Sometimes they've been AAA for like 3-4 years, just waiting for their moment to be called up, and they just.
And mind you, he did that all like in 1 year. Like that's insane. The kid's like barely like 18, about to be 19. Like that's insane, And that's why like, as much as I do love playing, I love it, and but I think just like that chapter of that door is just starting to close. Plus, like the problem with baseball, people don't realize it's time consuming. Yeah. So like. Esa es la cosa, like the big problem with like student athletes that we face is that we're broke. Imagínate, hay muchos que like that don't have, that parent support, or like, your parents don't come from like, bit like more wealthier type of like, or have that extra money to send you for school and all that stuff. And like, there's kids that have to work, or there's kids that have to figure out a way how to make money. So that's kind of like just the thing where I'm kind of like a little bit, I don't want to say over it, but I mean, I feel like that door is, just starting like just to close now. Because I mean, I tried like, I'm saying once when I kind of was like, all right, I don't want to play like for my school anymore and all that stuff, or, stuff happened and, I just couldn't do it. There was a team that, and just like some Sunday team, but the guy, he has a lot of pro connections. And I went to his facility in Thousand Oaks, and man, that was a drive, but we were there and I was hitting. He's like, man, because the guy, he was like 6'2", like 3, like, big dude, right? He can bench press like, I don't know how many, like 300 something pounds. And I was here hitting the ball a lot harder than he was. He was like, dude, he's like, you move good. Like, he's like, we should come play with us, this and that. But he was like, the chances of you like making it, like, it's almost like slim to none just because you're getting older, not getting younger. And I think when he told me that, I was like, you know what, like, he kind of does have a point. But that doesn't mean I can't help someone else, get to their goals and their dreams. Just because it didn't work out for me, it doesn't mean I can't do whatever I can to help out someone else who has the opportunity to go to.
Very true.
So that's kind of why. But I mean, can I still swing it? Heck yeah. Can I still play defense? Heck yeah.
Well, I mean, you always hear about other stories like, it's never too late. Like when you hear like there is stories, you know, and the way your story has, given how you told your story so far, it just seems like it will come in a random spot. So I wouldn't say close the door on it yourself, but if the opportunity comes and you're willing to be there and be ready for it, then I mean, by all means, take it. Yeah. But I wouldn't close the door yourself. Like let the universe and everything else close the door, like show you the new path before you like physically close the door on it. It's the process of thinking. It's just instead of us giving up and stuff and saying that, oh, maybe we can't do this. And then feeling maybe guilty about it later on. It's just like put that same energy into, as you're coaching. And again, you never know who's watching and you never who's going to call you. You might get another, random text that says, hey, show up at the Dodger Stadium. You're like, what?
Yeah, because I mean, but honestly, like I wouldn't lie. Like one thing I would want to do, I would love to coach in the MLB. Like,
see, that could be like the new path.
Man, like if I got a coach in the MLB, that'd be crazy. Like,
and you're young enough to be able to do it, man.
I know.
What if this coaching gives you a new opportunity to coach in AA, AAA,
that'd be crazy.
and then AAA, and then they move you up to. So it's possible, dude. Yeah. Your dream still comes true, just in not the way you thought. Yeah. You play in the big leagues.
Yeah.
So
that's honestly like I have thought about that. Like, what if I did become a coach and I was a coach like in the MLB? Like, dude, man, that'd be insane. And like, you help a team win a World Series. So, I mean, just stuff like that, it has crossed my mind. But I mean, the playing aspect, like, like I said, a lot of it's like time consuming, and a lot of it does take a toll on your body.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Like I'm thinking this fall was like the most brutal fall I've ever had. Like in mine, like I was like, what? I've never ran so much in my life. I've never been as fast as I've been in my life, but like a lot of that training, like it definitely like took a toll on my body. Like I'll wake up and I'm like, oh man, like my body shot today for no reason. Like,
that sounds like everyone that's over 30 wake up and like, oh, what the fuck did I do? I was breathing.
Once again, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, you know, at a young age, it seems like just because, again, you repeat it, I'm going to go back to that with what a man who's been doing this for years, word by word. So I feel like you're kind of in the right path, and we look forward to see you grow. You know, hopefully eventually we see you, coach, like you said, you want to be in a, whatever you're trying to do, hopefully we're going to be there. You know, the Daily GrindCast is going to, you know, just support you in whatever way we can. What are 3 tips or like golden nuggets or advice that you could give to the youth, right? Like to the high schoolers who want to be professionals, who want to be somewhere in the baseball field. What are some tips, brother?
I think I'm going to go back and I give a big shout out to the only hitting coach I've ever had. His name was Coach Miggy Perez, and the best coach I've ever had. He told me some very important things that made me really pull the trigger on coming back over here to play college baseball. He told me you have to believe in yourself that you can succeed, but you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. Some people aren't willing to, and it's a hard subject to say, it's a hard thing to talk about, but what are you willing to sacrifice to chase your dreams? Like, I think the biggest athletes, and I'm going to go back, I love talking about this guy, Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady has sacrificed so much to be in the position that he's in. And am I agreeing with the actions that he's done? Probably not. But it's something that someone's willing to do to achieve their dreams, to achieve greatness. I think high school kids need to understand that you need to have a coach. Like, it's hard to do it by yourself. Don't do what I did, because like it's the hardest thing to do when you try to learn things on your own. Don't be afraid and go and look for a coach. And I think the parents need to understand that too. Like, whether you like it or not, you're going to spend money. You're going to spend money on school. And am I saying go out there and get a coach that charges you $100 an hour? No, that doesn't exist, right? But get yourself a decent coach who knows what he's doing. Do your research, and don't be afraid to go and have that help. It helps. I think lastly, if a high school kid does want to really take it to the next level, be serious about it. Be serious about your nutrition. Be serious of how you work out in the gym. You know, regardless of anything, social media is the biggest information page you can have. You can look up right now the type of baseball workouts I should be doing throughout the week, or you can have someone else tell you those things who have made it to that next level. Use that as your advantage, but take practice serious, take nutrition serious, take your grades serious, you know, all that stuff. You have to take it serious if you want to play at the next level. If you don't, there's a next guy in line who's willing to do exactly what you're doing, if not at a better rate. So there's just a couple of things. And I think I do want to say one thing from a coaching side, because I think there's a lot of coaches who need to hear this too. Coaches need to be transparent about what they tell their kids and their parents. I don't think a coach should ever not say the truth. I think you have to be realistic with your players. You have to tell them the truth. And when you don't, I think you hold a lot of dishonesty, and your players see that, and they're not going to want to play for someone like that. Players, and I speak that as a player, I want to play for someone who's honest. I want to play for someone who's like, hey, kid, you may not be here now, but basically we're going to work our butt off, and we're going to get there at some point in time. That's right. You know, you don't want to be with the coach like, oh, yeah, like, I got you. And then he don't got you, like, in a couple months later. You know? So I think coaches need to be a little more transparent, and, you know, and not, you know, lie to players and not let players down. But, man, I pray that I can be the best coach, you know, for my kids, and I want to take them to the next level. And you know, I thank all like the families who've entrusted me with their sons and their daughters to help them get there. And I'm blessed to be here, man.
Where can people find you? What's your social media, your phone, email, MySpace, whatever you got?
MySpace.
I know, like it's 23. Though. He probably doesn't know what MySpace is, but
he's like, dude,
he's like, what the hell is that?
So my Instagram, it's Jesse.Rodriguez with 2 I's. And then my TikTok is Jesse Rodriguez 293. So the Jace Rodriguez 293 just has all of my hitting videos. I do some defense stuff on there too. The Instagram one is where I post like all the kids trainings, where I post like, you know, how I work out in the gym, or, you know, how I hit and stuff like that. So those 2 pages, if anybody ever does want to get into contact with me, you know, and talk about lessons, and we want to get something going, more than happy, you know, reach out. My DMs are open. My DMs are free. So
cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then, I just wanted to touch on, and, you know, as being young as you are, I mean, even though you said you feel a little older, a lot of kids, and I say kids, sorry, because I'm 10 years older than you, but a lot of young men don't have character like you do. I can sense that into you. And honestly, you know, that speaks volumes. And I think that's why you have so much to offer and so much to give. Like with coaching, is that you see the whole picture at a very young age. You know, I didn't start my journey to understand things until I was about your age. But you do seem to know a lot more than I did at my age. I was too, you know, into other things to even, you know, grasp the concept of what my life was going to be. You know, the only thing I knew at that time was to be a parent, because I am a dad. And I had my son at a very young age. So I just knew how to work and provide. You know, I didn't really learn much. So I'm really happy that you were able to come on here. You were able to, you know, tell your story. And not only that, but like, you're going to give so much insight to these younger kids and these younger men that are just like, fuck, what am I doing with my life? You know, and that's good to have, you know, like you again, like your character speaks volumes. So I'm really excited, and I'm so happy that we were able to make this happen, because, you know, whether you think now or later, like whether or not now or later, like you're going to be someone in life, you know, just keep that dream going. Don't, like your coach said, you know, don't give up on yourself, and just keep going at it, man. Cause I have a lot of faith in you, even if I just met you, because I can just see that about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
No, I agree, dude. I mean, we got to give the flowers where they're due, you know? So just keep doing what you're doing. And if you were to teach one thing to the world, what would it be and why?
Man, that's a good question.
You can take your time.
If I had to teach one thing to the world, man, okay, this is a good one, because I think people don't appreciate this a lot. Be grateful for every single day. I hear people all the time say, I can't wait for the weekend. There's 7 days for a reason. You have to love and appreciate every single day, regardless of what happens. Like, there's bad days gonna happen, no matter what. But you have to appreciate every single day. And you have to make every single day count. Yep. You can't just be happy for 2 days. You should be happy for all 7.
It's a blessing to wake up every day. People don't understand that until they have either a life-altering event or something of that, and then every day is a blessing all of a sudden. 100%. But then they'll gradually forget about that. So, no, that's very powerful, man.
Yeah, you gotta be happy, man. You gotta be positive. Like, people find it annoying that, like, I'm, you know, positive and happy. Like,
that's just because they're so negative. But eventually, it's gonna rub off on them. They'll be like, yeah, you know, you're right.
Yeah, like, either that or you'll start attracting people who are.
Oh, maybe exactly. Attracting people that.
Because once you make that shift, I mean, it has happened to both of us. Once you make that shift where, like, you want something more in life, or you want to be better, like, all the friends that you thought they were your real friends, they're gone, you know, because they just they just live for the weekend. They just want to party. They just want to drink and stuff, and you want to be good out 24/7.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. I mean, well, once again, Jesse, thank you, and man, it was good.
Yeah, beautiful. No, that's it for me, man. Thank you for coming.
Of course, you know, thank you guys for having me, man. It was awesome to be here. I really do appreciate it, guys.
No, thank you.
All right, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. As always, comment below if this resonated with you. We're gonna leave all his social media in our comments. So look forward to that, and then also look forward to, you know, who we bring on next. Peace out.
Peace.